Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of the Mutant XPerience podcast, episode 39. My special guest tonight, none other than Chicago's finest, Jazzy Circuit Season One finalist, the one, the only Dirtmaster. How's it going, man?
What up, everybody? Pretty good. Maintaining.
Yeah,
And
first
it's
and foremost, dude, how are you doing over there in Chicago with all of this
um
craziness?
healthy, safe.
Okay,
I
that's
went
good.
out earlier today. I went out for items at the store earlier today. Came back into my normal routine of sterilizing everything.
Hmm.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
I wish I could play some Third Strike.
Oh, dude, dude. Before we even get started, man,
hmm
whew, dude,
Dark times.
it's rough. It's rough. And before I forget to mention this, or before I forget to, say this, I wanted to.
Yeah,
I was really excited for you to come on my podcast, man,
mm.
because this is not to, this is not a comment on any of the other podcasts that I've done,
Sure,
but
sure.
it's like I'm glad that you were on here, man,
No
because
doubt.
I think sometimes it's refreshing to keep it real, if you know what I
Mm.
mean.
No
'Cause
doubt. No doubt. No doubt. No doubt. No doubt. No doubt.
and in keeping it, and in the spirit of keeping it real, I just want to say before we get started, dude, I feel so, and really, this is no troll, super serious.
Mm.
I feel so
Mm.
horrible for your scene, man. I feel really bad for your scene. You guys were just picking it up. You guys joined
Mm.
Jazzy finally, and you guys have been
Mm.
grinding. I saw all the hard work you put in at Frosty Faustings. A lot of your
Mm.
players have gotten so much better in such a short amount of time.
They have.
And,
Oh yeah, they
I
have.
feel bad for a lot of the scenes, but I feel really bad for your scene. And hopefully, when all of this is over, we can resume Jazzy, and you guys could get back on
For
that
sure.
grind because y'all
Yeah,
got
absolutely.
a scene. All right, y'all got a scene. Okay,
Yeah, we got people who love the
regardless of
game. Yeah.
how you feel about your scene, from the outside looking
Mm-hmm.
in, y'all got a scene. All right, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Y'all got a scene.
Well, I feel
But
great. I actually feel great. I feel great about our scene.
yeah.
I mean, it's the community and how the players have grown.
Hmm.
I've seen people go from little to no knowledge about the game to me having to respect them
Hmm.
like they're vets almost. We were just talking about Big Red earlier
Hmm.
off stream. Some of the guys really scare me now. So
Damn it, Adam! You can't reveal the stuff that we talk about off
oh,
stream,
I'm
bro.
sorry. My
Then
bad.
I won't
Sorry,
be
sorry.
able to sell those, those VODs of the
Got you.
of the behind the scenes of the podcast. Dude. No, I'm just
Got you.
kidding.
Understood.
Yeah, and I don't know. Maybe it's because I don't, I think I've mentioned this in previous podcasts. I think it was January of 2018.
Mm,
I went to Logan's for the first time. That's when
right.
I quote unquote met you. Although we're gonna get
Yeah.
to this later in the podcast. I don't know, but like the more and more I think about it, the more and more I feel like
Mm.
you and I have been in the same space. Like I don't know, like it feels
I think
weird.
I think we played online.
Okay,
Um,
maybe I don't know online, but I'm talking about offline. Like
long
yeah,
time OG Xbox. I was
yeah.
learning
Oh
the game.
man,
I
yeah,
think I
maybe,
think.
maybe. But anyway,
Mm-hmm,
back in January 2018, I went to Logan's for the first time,
mm-hmm,
and you know, it was a great experience. And so, being able to see, obviously, I was at Frosty Faustings along with you and a lot
yeah,
of, and on basically everyone in the Chicago crew at Frosty
right.
Faustings this past January, and just to see the growth,
Mm-hmm.
um, that's the kind of thing that I like to see. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
yeah, I feel pretty bad for you guys and for all the other scenes, and hopefully we can all sort of push
Mm-hmm.
through and make sure we get through this, and so we can get back to
Yeah.
playing some Third Strike, man.
We'll make do. When as soon as this thing passes over, if it does, we'll still be going to Logan's every. We'll try to go every Friday, every other Friday.
Hmm.
Just, we'll do what we can.
Yeah.
You know.
So, before we get to all that good stuff, let's
Mm,
talk a little bit about, how you got here. You know what I'm saying? Like
mm,
how did you, can you tell us a little bit about, how you got into video games and the FGC, and then finally into Third Strike. I mean, what was
Wow.
that journey like for you, man?
Dude, video games. My earliest memory
Mm-hmm.
of video games, my dad had an Atari
Mm-hmm.
when I was maybe, I don't know, 3 or something like that. And ColecoVision. I still got my ColecoVision in storage,
Mm-hmm.
actually. And I think first arcade gaming experience was like, I think in Norwich City, here in Chicago, we had a Little Caesar. It might have still been a Showbiz Pizza at that time. But I remember having to put $1 into the machine and get these tokens and try all these, to try all the shiny machines. I couldn't really process what it was at the time. It was just like, these interactive kind of things. Um, I didn't make the connection that it was like the ColecoVision, but like, kind of standalone, uh, machines.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think that was probably my first experience like playing video games in in an arcade sense. And then my dad was in a bowling league when I was like maybe 5 or 6, and they had Rostam at one of in the arcade section. So I used to play that while he was bowling, and that was like my first time playing like an arcade game for a prolonged period of time. It was Rostam. So yeah, that's how I got introduced to arcade gaming pretty much. And then, that was like late '80s. That was like '87. It became like the wrestling games like Superstar, and WrestleFest, and Bad Dudes, and Konami, Data East, all that good stuff. As far as fighting games, man, I mean, I've always played them whenever I went to a mall because you only, back then I was, as a kid, you only went to the mall when your parents went to the mall,
Yeah.
and you just try to get it in whenever you can, whether it's a mall or it's a 7-Eleven or whatever. I think the first time I actually thought about beating people up in a game was probably Mortal Kombat 1, the first Mortal Kombat game.
Okay. All right.
And I think from then on, what was that, like 90? I was like 90 or 91, something like that. From then on, I would just kind of look for these one-on-one games. I had seen Street Fighter around, but I never really played it. I knew how it sounded, how it looked, I know what to do to throw the fireball, stuff like that. But I never really thought about competitive Street Fighter at all. So like maybe 94, 94-ish. I was kind of late in that regard. Go ahead, you gonna say something?
So your first fighting game was Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean,
Wow.
technically, it might have been something on Genesis or something like that. Like,
Uh-huh.
what were the early? What was like the early fighting games on
I don't know.
Genesis?
Eternal Champions. I don't know.
No,
Like, what do you mean?
I think that
Like,
was after.
or
That was
like,
after. No, I'm talking about early. It might have been
dude.
like Street Smart or something like that. Like a
Oh, okay.
bad port of an arcade game,
Yeah.
something like
Okay.
that.
Okay.
Like arcade
Huh.
game, one-on-one.
Yeah.
It was probably the first MK.
Wow. Man. So what was the first Street
Because
Fighter? What was the first Street Fighter you played? Do you remember?
first Street Fighter I played period.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was Championship Edition.
Mm-hmm.
Championship.
Uh-oh. Not Champion Edition. Hopefully
Yeah.
Haas out there isn't listening. He's gonna get on your ass. It's not Championship Edition, guys.
My first memory of Street Fighter was just like, Bison torpedo.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's CE Bison.
Dude, correct me if I'm wrong. I know this isn't 3S related at all, but did Chicago have like specific names for the SF2 special moves? Like, okay, so like for example, right? Like in SoCal, like in the neighborhood where I lived, Guile, his flash kick. We used to call it the blade kick, right? We used to call it the blade
Wow.
kick. Or the Cycle Crusher we called it the flaming torpedo or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
We call Cycle Crusher torpedo here too.
Oh, okay.
We call it torpedo.
Yeah.
That'd be a good question to ask my buddy Eddie. He's one of the first guys I practiced Street Fighter with. This guy named Eddie Ferrier. He got third place in the very first Street Fighter Turbo ST tournament.
Wow.
Here,
Okay.
I think in the U.S. Like if you look at that old game, I think it was Game Pro or EGM. I'm not been Game Pro. That had the strategy guy with all the Mike Watson, and, a bunch of other guys. Eddie was in there, and yeah. He's one of the first guys that I remember practicing with. But yeah, he called it the torpedo. People called like the hurricane kick Dukin, like like whatever onomatopoeia,
Yeah.
it was weird.
Man, yeah, dude. Okay, so the first game you played was
Dukin,
Champion Edition.
yeah.
And so, when did you start, like, when did you start playing, sort of competitively, or no, before that, like, when did you start realizing that there was such a thing as a FGC?
I would say when I started going to Diversions Arcade in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
That was
At
around 94,
94. Okay.
95, 94, 95.
Mm-hmm.
I was like 14. Yeah, I was 95, I was 14.
Mm-hmm.
That's when like, MK3 came out, the X-Men vs Street Fighter
Mm.
had came, Street Fighter EX. When I saw like people just, every time I go, there'd be like the same people there,
Mm-hmm.
like getting in games. I was like, damn, these people like really, take this kind of seriously. I mean, I should, try to give them a run for the money. I just die. I had no idea.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody has an idea what they start. But yeah, that's when I first realized that there was people who played these games with some continuity, diversions.
So at Diversions, and that name sounds really familiar. Um, uh,
Mm.
but to take a page out of certain basketball podcasts, I wanted to ask
Mm-hmm.
this question. You know, who was sort of the first player you remember that really gave you the business? Who was like, who
Really
was the
gave me the
first?
business.
Yeah, like who was the first person that you remember that just like you were like you just instantly realized like I'm not good. I am not good.
Um, it had to be one of two people.
Okay,
Well, actually, the first one is a guy named Paulo
Paulo.
Garcia.
Okay.
He went by IRS.
IRS,
He's
like the wrestler.
Yes, yes,
Wow.
yeah. Eventually, I found out it was so. I thought it was a gangster, but eventually, I found out his future wife's name was Iris.
Oh,
That's why
okay.
he goes by
Okay.
IRS. So that's pretty cool to do that. Um, he was just amazing at Street Fighter, Killer
Mm-hmm.
Instinct, Mortal Kombat. I used to play at this convenience store by a couple of my best buddies at the time, two kids, Denny and David, and he would just show up there. I would see his name on all the machines, like IRS, IRS, IRS. And oh shit! And one day he came there, and I'm like, I couldn't do anything against this guy. Like he had this just a higher knowledge of everything, like game mechanics, timing. My game back then was MK2. I used to beat a lot of people up in MK2.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as
Oh,
the
that
other
that that
games,
that Jax Molina.
I feel like almost the whole cast in that game, almost the whole
Okay.
cast. But yeah, Jackson later would that. And Liu Kang. But yeah, he was the first guy to really my butt. And shortly after that was a guy named Alex. One of my buddies, Alex. He went by Lexcellent. He
Excellent.
played pretty much. He played pretty much everything.
Mm-hmm.
It just destroyed me.
Wow. Dude, so tell me a little about Third Strike, man. Like, do you remember the first time you played it?
Yeah. Probably the last second impact major
Uh huh.
was the first third strike major. One of the first third strike majors in the U.S.
Okay.
And that was Midwest Championships, I think 1999.
Uh huh.
Because eventually I was a second impact player
Mm-hmm.
after I got into fighting games, and I was really good at that. In fact, at the last tournament, I got third. I was in Tipsy Trick magazine and all this cool shit to me when I was little.
Oh wow, we could probably
Um,
find a scan of that.
oh, I got it. I
Oh, you
got it. I got the
do?
magazine.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
I think I uploaded it on my Instagram or
Okay.
something
Okay.
like that back then for the 10-year challenge or whatever it was. 10-year challenge. But yeah, so that year Third Strike came out, and I didn't like it. I was like, this is slow. This is They changed my characters. I was a total tier whore. I was a tier whore in Second Impact. I played Akuma and Sean. So they ruined those characters. Ryu didn't have two Denjins, so I didn't like Ryu anymore. It was funny. So I hated it. I hated it. I actually hated Third Strike until about maybe 2004. I think 2004.
Mm-hmm.
Like just a bunch of footage started coming out,
Mm-hmm.
and people in the city, because I would still go to Midwest Championships and just hang out, play different games or whatever. And my friends would be like, man, you got to get on this game. If you like mix-ups and stuff like that, there's some sick mix-ups in this game. I was like, yeah, really? Like, yeah, man. I'm like, I don't know, man. It's not as fast as Second Impact. You got to, change the motions and shit. It's, a bunch of stuff is different.
Hmm.
And it just took me a while to get into it. But, they broke me. And getting into it with these guys. Domingo, Juicy G,
Mm.
Tony DeFilly, he went by D-Fly. Ari didn't play with as much. I didn't play much of it. This guy John, he had a really nice Ibuki. Part 2 was around back then. He came on a little bit later. Bob Washington. It was like maybe a good eight dudes.
Mm-hmm.
Small scene, but they all played everything. They played like Guilty Gear. They played everything. I was just coming back. I stopped going to arcades for a long time because of other hobbies, but they sucked me back in 2004. That's when I got into the first strike.
You mentioned the name of an event that just that just was. I can't believe that I didn't even think to discuss this with you. But I'm so glad you mentioned the name that we have to sort of we're gonna pause on the third strike. We're gonna backtrack a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about Midwest Championships.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about that event because I think a lot of the viewers don't really know a lot about that event. So tell me a little bit about Midwest. Tell me a little about Midwest Championships, man.
That was like going to. That was like a cross between going to an arcade and going to a Comic-Con. It was like this a crazy event. But when I first went, I couldn't believe it. I didn't believe this many people played games. Period. Huh. And people would travel to play. I had no idea there was this scene out there where people would travel to play games competitively. I had no idea. My first tournament ever. I was like, whoa, this is crazy. Midwest Championships ran by Jason Wilson, one of the most esteemed tournaments.
Dream TR, right? From SRK forums.
Right. That's right.
Dream TR, shout outs.
He did a hell of a job running those tournaments. Uh-huh. The place was a zoo.
There was some of you guys at Elena players, dog. He used Elena too. What the hell? What the F, man?
He actually did.
He did. Elena was his main.
And he would upset people too. Sometimes he would score massive upsets.
Why Chicago players play some random African girl in a game, dog? Where does that come from?
Jason was. Jason was brilliant in pretty much every game he played.
Yeah.
He played every Street Fighter. Hit MK. He was just really good. Uh-huh. He could play whatever. He would have success. But yeah, Midwest Championships was some real shit back in the day. People came from all over to go to that tournament.
Do you remember the first one you went to?
Yeah, that was '98. Mm-hmm. My first tournament ever was Second Impact, and I got, I think, 7th. Mm-hmm. My first tournament ever.
Who did you rock in Second Impact?
The first year, because that was the first year I started playing. I played heavily that year. Huh. First it was Ryu, then Sean, then Akuma. Obviously, he was so just broken strong. It was so stupid like that.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, because this is even beyond my time in the FGC. Mm-hmm. But is it at some point wasn't Goki banned, dog? In tournaments?
No. So back in 98, 99. This is
because I'm getting conflicting information. Because some people tell me he was banned, some people say he wasn't. It's
in some arcades, it's like how Osagata is in some things.
Okay.
Sometimes it's soft.
It was like a fuzzy ban.
Yeah, but here's the thing: you could pick him, but if you botched the code, you had to. You couldn't try again.
Was that really a rule, dog? Was that really a rule?
Yes, it was. Funnily enough, I lost to. I think it was Henry Sen.
Wow, Midwest Championship.
Because that's who got second. It was Eddie Lee, Henry Sen, and me.
Okay.
And I botched the Akuma code.
Oh no.
And I had to scramble and pick. I think I landed on a can. That's Dark Ages. That's some old shit, man.
What'd you play on? A Big Blue? What'd you play on? What was that?
I forget. Yeah, I think it was. I think it
Was
might have been a Big Blue, dude.
Big Blue. Yeah.
Yeah.
What kind of sticks?
Ball top.
360 competition or
Yeah.
8-way? Okay. Yeah. So what other games did you enter at that Midwest Championship?
I think that's the only one I did.
Mm-hmm.
I remember wishing that they had Street Fighter EX2.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was out. That was out the time. I was really good at that.
Do you remember how many
Didn't end up
people
winning.
entered? Do you remember how many people entered Dirt Strike? Or sorry, Second Impact.
That was a lot, dude. That was a lot. People came from all over Canada,
Wow.
West Coast, Midwest, all over Florida. Mad people came.
Yeah.
And I was happy, you know, to get. I didn't realize top 8 was a thing. That was my first tournament back then.
Mm-hmm.
I was just happy to get 7th or top 10. They're like, why made top 8? I was like, oh shit.
And so where was the?
I forget who told me. Somebody said, yeah, don't talk shit until you get top 3. I was like, damn.
Oh, okay. Oh, I guess standards have gone down then. I guess.
Yeah,
I warned everyone. This is going to be real. We're keeping it real on this podcast tonight.
That was a thing back in the day. You couldn't say shit if you didn't get top 3.
Do you remember where the first MWC was held?
That was at Super Just Games.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Nickel City now. It's
Mm-hmm.
called Super Just Games. And that was tremendous arcade.
Wow, awesome. All right.
That's the same arcade where the first ST tournament was held. That's the same one.
Yeah. Shout outs to Wilson and MWC and all the what I like to call the proto majors. You know what I'm saying? Like the proto majors.
That's real.
Yeah. Wow, you got really loud. Hold on.
Sorry.
Yeah. So the proto majors like MWC, ECC. Dude,
right.
Yeah.
Those are super hype.
Yeah, definitely.
Super hype.
Definitely. So let's talk a little bit about, let's go back to your Third Strike stuff, man. Like, you started playing.
I'll tie that in. I'll actually tie that in.
Okay.
One of the last Midwest championships I went to was one of these, because even though I was getting into the game, learning from my homies or whatever, I didn't feel comfortable enough to enter tournaments like that. Like, I didn't feel like, like I knew enough. And I picked up Makoto for like a month or something like that. And there was a guy from the West Coast who came over with, I think he came with Watson and a couple other guys. And
who did he make?
Paul Lee.
Paul Lee, yeah.
Paul Lee.
Yeah.
He was a nasty Ken at the time. Like everyone was like the whole like chatter around the tournament at that time, like, oh man, he's confirming super. He's confirming super. He confirms all the super, like all this, verbiage, new verbiage. And I was like, damn, that's crazy. And I watched him, and like every time he hit low forward, he would get super. I'm like, damn, that's crazy. Like he's actually looking for this and hitting it. And before the tournament started, I caught him on the cab practicing, and I put a quarter, token or whatever, or nickels in Nickel City. And I played him, I got bodied a couple times.
Okay. And
then third game, I managed to get a win. And the fourth game, like he still beat me, but it was like a little more competitive. He's like, hey, so what pool are you in? And I was like, I'm not doing this. I'm not good enough. He's like, what? Are you serious? He's like, dude, you should enter. You should be entering this shit. You're totally good enough to do some damage. I'm like, really? So from him giving me those words of encouragement, the next year, I think I entered, and I think I got 8th. I think I might have got 8th.
Dude, I've mentioned Paul Lee like a zillion times in my podcast.
He was a nice guy.
He was
a very nice guy.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't really know him well enough to judge either way. But but what I will say is like I said in previous podcasts, if it wasn't for Paul Lee, is he just beat my ass.
Oh, you're from Cali. I forgot you're from California.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Oh,
we played a lot, at Southern Hills Golfland, Camelot.
Wow.
So.
Yeah, he probably doesn't even remember talking to me.
Yeah.
But I remember he gave me words of encouragement. He's like, dude, you should. Why are you not in this tournament right now?
Yeah, man. Like I said in previous podcasts, he's the reason I use Necro, because like one random weekly he used Necro, and I was like, well, that's cool.
Wow, he switched it up.
Yeah. So.
Wow.
solo. So I was like, wow, that's cool. Because he was like, yeah, all I need is one throw and a mix up, and I win the game. It's like, wow, that's cool. That sounds like the kind of character I want to use. So, so tell me a little
Yeah,
bit about
that's crazy.
So tell me a little bit about your character, because at this point, right, in your, I guess we could call third strike playing career, you can do damage with most of the cast, but
Most of the cast, yeah.
it's well, I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, maybe there's. I've never seen your 12, so I have to.
Yeah.
I gotta keep it real,
Most,
right? We're still keeping it real,
most not all. Most not all.
But like, tell me a little bit about your mains, like throughout the years. Like, who'd you start with, and who are some characters you bounced around to?
My first mains, when I first started, was Ryu.
Mm-hmm.
Denjin, I think it was. Okay, once I learned a couple setups, it was on off, and I was up and running in a couple of weeks with Ryu, and eventually got into Makoto after I saw, what was that guy in Japan? Jay?
Spellmaster Jay?
No, a Makoto named Jay. Bless you.
Yeah, Jay. Yeah, Jay. Makoto Jay. Yeah.
He was. I had heard about him through like a post on Shoryuken, I think by Moprim. Moprim used to like post on Shoryuken of like stuff that would happen overseas in these Japanese tournaments. And I remember him mentioning Jay and seeing the footage of him play. I was like, damn, he's fucking destroying these people. Like, wow. Like, he's making all the right choices with this character. I thought it was just down to him just making all the right choices all the time. I had no idea that she could 50-50, all day. I had no idea that was the real threat. And she can just, threaten you with that with SA2. But he was, after I saw him, I decided to get into Makoto. I did pretty well with her in the couple tournaments I entered after that. I think I won one local, and I got like 6 or 7 in one of the later MWCs. And after that, I kind of like to bounce around because I got, I have other hobbies. Mm-hmm. And, whenever I come back to the game, I pretty much pick up another character. Like, okay, I like this character's move. I would see some footage and say, okay, I want to kind of imitate that and see what I can do with that. Mm-hmm. Like reverse engineer off of it or whatever. So I think it was after like 2008-ish, I started to just play whoever,
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Trying to just kind of increase your knowledge of the game overall.
Yeah, and just switch it up because I mean, to be totally honest, it did get boring a little bit. It did because again, I was heavily into music stuff and other stuff too. I mean, I went to let's leave it at that. I just had a bunch of other hobbies. When I came back to the game, I didn't feel like playing Makoto. I didn't feel like playing Ryu. I felt like playing some other characters. That's how that came about. Just to spice things up.
So tell me a little bit about Japan, man, because I know you've been to Japan. And so tell me a little bit about, your experience in Japan and playing Dirt Strike.
Yeah, I've been there several times. The first time I've been there was, I think, 2004.
Okay.
And that's when I realized,
dude, what a time! Like, right? Like, if you could have a time machine, like if you could get a time machine and go back to Japan, Third Strike.
Yeah, I think that's the first time I realized. Yeah, because I thought I had a good handle on the game around then. I was like, okay, I'm up and running. I can do whatever. That was the first time I realized I couldn't play. So I went over there. I was like, oh no, these guys have a different sense of awareness. These guys have different reactions. These guys have, I wasn't into frame data back then, but they obviously had knowledge of frame data. Like, they had all their shit down, and I had just no idea. I mean, I managed to scrape by some wins, but guys like, I still remember the guy, Roshi Hikari. Mm-hmm. Roshi Hikari. Mm-hmm. Incredibly smart Yang player. I think Issei was there when I was there. I remember him. A couple other guys, man, just supreme at the time.
Dude, he
I haven't been
perfected
there in a while.
he perfected me at pre-co-op cup, I think, if I remember.
Which one? Who?
Well, I only went to one co-op cup, 2017, and
Oh, which player? Which player got you?
Roshikari,
Oh, he's
because during pre-co-op cup,
he's cheap.
the This is Third Strike team, we sort of bucked tradition instead of instead of entering, with our mains and joining Japanese players, we decided we would enter pre-co-op cup together, and we all used Ken, and we
what?
yeah, and we actually got through the first wave, surprisingly enough.
Nice.
And then in the second wave, we played supposedly the greatest 12 team ever assembled. Which is funny because and I'm blanking on his name now, but currently he's considered the best 12 player right now, and I'm again,
really,
if people in the chat can help me out with his name. But the crazy
is that
thing
is that the guy that beat MOV in like a video?
Dude, I'm not sure if that's him or not, but like what's funny is like I saw him because I saw him because I designed some of the This is Third Strike shirts, and one shirt that I designed was the 12 shirt. I don't know if anyone's seen the 12 shirt with the binary numbers. That's like the outline of 12, and
I didn't see that.
And you could still buy it. I think the Teespring store is still up, but
nice.
It was funny because I saw him. I saw this guy. He was wearing
Your shirt?
My shirt.
Wow.
It was like hilarious. He was wearing my shirt. And
that's dope. That's super dope.
Yeah. But anyway, dude, that 12 team was godlike. Like
I believe it.
And so we were able to beat the 12 team. I lost. I didn't win. I didn't win a game the second wave. But but we managed as a team. We managed to beat the 12 team, and then we had to beat the Yang team. And I'm pretty sure we played Roshi Akari during that set. I'm not sure. All I know is, I was like
skinny guy, high cheekbones, bowl cut. I remember his face like Michael Myers mask.
He bodied us. I think it was OCV. I think it was OCV.
Oh,
I think we got OCV. I'm pretty sure we did. But
hey, one and done.
And then we went to the playoff and we lost that. But yeah, well, like we didn't really have high expectations. You know what I'm saying? Like,
who's on your team? Who's on your team? All Ken.
Yeah, it was This is Third Strike, Nika KO, Gavin, Frankie, BFG, Holdat, and myself.
Oh shit.
And
yeah,
so we decided we would just enter all Keds, and
it's a freaking strong team.
Yeah, well, it's we almost made it to top 8. We almost made it to top 8.
Nice.
It was a heartbreak, but oh well. Anyway, enough about me. The podcast is about you. So more about Japan, right? 2004, you get there, dude. That era, it's amazing, dude. Like I can't even.
Yeah, it's too strong.
Woo.
Too strong.
No, but it's not even just too strong. It's like they're just finding their groove. You know what I'm saying? Right? Like they're just really like, because obviously they're not as good. Together. They're not as good back then as they were now, right? But
now, yeah, sure.
But what I'm saying is it was during that era, right, where it was like they were really starting to figure out.
Strategy was being formed,
and people were so hungry. Wow. Dude, I'm so jealous.
It was difficult back then. It was so fun. It was so fun though. Like I didn't get to play as much as I want. I never get to when I'm over there. I never get to play as much as
there's so much shit to do in Japan. That's why.
Right. And but it forces you to play the best you can. I think the last time I was there, I think it was 2012. I went to Gamers Vision, and I entered a Danisen. The Danisen things that they do sometimes. I forget is it called a Danisen?
Yeah,
it's like a ranking. It's like a ranking thing. But, right. They had like what they call a big boy section and like a kind of casual section. The big boy section like had Nuki, all those other guys, and my section. It was me. I think some like European Makoto player, somebody else, and then it was like Roshi Ikari and freaking. I think it was Yuki Otoko. So those two were obviously were giving me the business at first when I started playing. But I actually left by the time I had to leave because I played for like 2 hours. By the time I left, I was in second place because I think the Akuma player Yuki, I think he couldn't beat. For some reason, he kept losing against like certain other players, and I would beat the other guys, but I would lose to Roshi. So I managed to leave in second place. So I was happy about that. But yeah, Nuki tried to join our Dani Center, kept getting bodied by the Akuma. It was bad. I watched being over there. It showed me that Akuma does really well against Chun-Li if he's played properly.
Mm-hmm.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, man.
Yeah. I watched Chun-Li die to Akuma just repeatedly and very easily over there.
And what was the Goki doing?
I've never seen it
specifically.
Staying in the air.
Yeah.
Staying in the air. And it looked, watching it happen, I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Whenever I would try it here, I just die. I never really put it together like they put it together. It was crazy watching that.
Like, to me, the Japanese Goki players, it feels like one of the things that's most important to them is setting the pace, right? Like, like they're so good at setting the pace and controlling the pace of the match. Because
the pace on you,
because the air fireball, dive kick, all his moves, like it's sort of a weird thing that I just realized. It's like
it could be off time.
Yeah, what's so godlike about Goki's special moves is not necessarily the damage they inflict, but like how they control the pace of the match.
Right?
Because like he'll do certain moves and like you can't.
Yeah. You're being blocked. It's hard to tell when to block and when to sort of jump out and when to, because what I saw them doing is basically exploiting Chun-Li's lack of good anti-airs, or besides her close roundhouse, right? That's her best.
Well, that's the God
anti-air
button. That's the finger of God.
That's the God button. But mainly, I just saw them, just kind of stand about almost sweep distance from Chun-Li and time the neutral jumps, time their dive kicks, and she couldn't really do too much. From what I saw, I was like, wow, this is true. Why don't people exploit that more? But easier said than done, obviously. I try to do that with one of my favorite matchups to play is Chun-Li against Hugo. I like playing Hugo against Chun-Li. It sounds terrible, but I actually like that match. And actually, I didn't know how much I liked it until Al came here. That's the only character I can really get him with.
And we would be remiss not to mention the godlike set that Lance and Big Nasty had in Frosty.
Oh, that's right. That's right. That was sick.
Because that was
actually a good match.
Yeah. That was amazing.
It's a winnable match. It's a winnable match for Hugo. I think. He can standing short is pretty good against her. The sweep works, and that damn jump in. Jumping's good. Slash.
That set was so good. I almost cried, dude. That set almost made me cry, dude. It was like it was that godlike. Like, you ever watch like a set, dude, and it's so good that it almost makes you want to cry. Like, just like, damn.
The last set that really blew me away was it was late last year. It was Ahmed versus Daisuke.
Oh yeah, that has like a bazillion hits. So I mean, it doesn't have a bazillion hits. Yo, it has a lot of hits.
That was such a good set. Ooh. That was so much good stuff happened during that set. Like, those guys, like they really showed out for that one. That was really good.
Yeah, it was really like, it really felt like the clash of copyright EXO. It really felt like a clash of titans. You know what I'm saying?
Titans,
like, you could feel the force. It was like Superman versus,
because Ahmed came from losers, right. Ahmed came from losers. Ahmed came from losers, and to see how he just obliterated Daisuke for the first set, like everything, he's firing on all cylinders. To see that happen, and to see the adjustment from Daisuke after that, and to have it be like just slightly close in, and then all of a sudden it just ended in a scintillating fashion. It was It was everything you want in a third strike match, honestly. That damn Shoryu, that EX Shoryu. What was that? What was that EX Shoryu that Daisuke did? What was that?
Everyone lost their minds that night.
I'm still trying to figure out how he calculated that. Like, okay, if I jump back and I land in front of this EX Fireball, I'm going to catch his low forward and get both hits off of it. I don't know. I don't know how I figured that out. Shout out to Daisuke and Ahmed for that set. That was like the last footage I watched. I was like, holy shit. Super hype.
Well, since we're on the topic of sets, and this will be my my last question before we take our first break.
Sure.
What's a set, or maybe a match, or maybe a first to 5 or a first to 10? Like what's like a set that stands out to you that you've been a part of, like
that I've been a part of?
Yeah, like that you've like looking back on it. What are some of the matches that sort of stand out in your mind that you feel are sort of like if someone were to put like a best of Dirtmaster video, best of Dirtmaster video,
I would say
what matches would be on that video?
I would say the 3-match run I had at Frosty Fostings last year, where I had to face Jamar, who was a very, very solid Chun. He's beat up a lot of people in his Third Strike.
Nebraska, Omaha.
Yeah, Nebraska's strong. Yeah.
Nebraska's
Big Nasty.
Been around forever. That's why.
Yes. Big Nasty. I had to play him after Jamar, and then I had to play Cameron, who was Bloody Urine from Nebraska, who was also an amazing player. I know people think what they want about the guy, but I know him since I was 18. So
Cam's godlike. Okay, let's just we'll
yeah.
And then
absolutely.
At the end of discussion. Okay. We'll put a lid
He's
on
super
that.
good.
All right.
He's super good. Like if there's a guy that I viewed as like a rival in Street Fighter 3 series, it's Cam, because we played in Second Impact and in the Third Strike over the years, and we've always had good fights. Shout out to Cam, aka True Karate. He went by True Karate.
True Karate in SRK. Yo, if your name is True Karate, you have to be godlike. Like you can't be no scrub, dude. If you can't be no scrub named True Karate. You know what I'm saying?
Right? Yeah.
You have
Yeah, man, dude. The dude's always been good. I remember hearing that he put Shin. Remember Shin Chang? He was like the best player in the country. And Cam put
Austin,
him in losers,
Texas.
I think.
Yeah.
I remember hearing about that. He beat Eno coming off of the greatest Togeki run ever. I was like, damn, that's Cameron. That's my boy. That's crazy. But
yeah, and again, like, maybe another.
I'm not Izu, not Eno. I'm sorry,
Izu. Like,
right.
Again, keeping it real, right? Like, like the godlike players at Third Strike, they're godlike because they love the game, like so much. Like their love of the game, like that's why, like, for example, like that's why, like, I'm not like in that echelon, because I recognize, because like every player kind of has to acknowledge, like, okay, this is my love for Third Strike, but there's somebody is there somebody out there that loves it more? Is there somebody out there who's more passionate about it? And I'm not saying that passion is the only thing that makes you good, but like the one thing that all the godlike players have in common is they will talk some Third Strike, that they eat, sleep, breathe. At some point in their careers, they've eat, sleep, breathe Third Strike. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I actually realized that at one of the Midwest Championships where Mopreme came. With I think Fubar Duck came too, but Mopreme and Marvin Lee, aka C-Roy, like they would talk about Third Strike with an encyclopedic knowledge of it. I was like, damn, you guys like really know this game like that? Yeah. I had no idea people were into it that much. Yeah. But yeah, most of the good players also, you'll find that they probably just they love the game, and they love every facet of the game. They love the art, the animation, the sound, everything about it, the music. It's just really like the game a lot.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know about that, but but I will
That's
agree with
me personally.
yeah. But what I do agree with you is yeah, you know, like there you have to have a certain level of commitment, and it's no shame,
Oh yeah.
right? Like all players have to
Mm-hmm.
sort of come to grips with sort of their level of commitment to the game, and
Right. Yeah.
and you know and it really is you know what you put into it, right? Like if you're gonna
Yeah, for sure.
you know if you
For
really
sure.
wanna make some noise, put in the time,
Yeah.
grind.
Like I would have never guessed that Ryan, the Chunny player,
Mm-hmm.
I would have never guessed that he'd be the best US player. Or the best well, he lived in Japan
Whoa,
for a
whoa,
while,
whoa,
I
whoa,
guess,
whoa,
right?
whoa! Hold up! Whoa, wait.
Hmm.
So, Dirtmaster, you just proclaimed Ryan the best Dirt Strike player in America right now?
I mean, from what I've seen, he and the Chun-Li player, right? Ryan, the guy who used to
Yeah.
go by
I just
Let
wanted
Blood
to make
Run.
sure you know I heard that correctly. All right, because okay, okay.
But I remember him from the OG Xbox days
Mm-hmm.
as Let Blood Run.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm thinking of the same guy,
Yeah.
and at the time I was learning the game, and I assume he was learning the game as well.
Uh-huh.
And it just shows you that if you play with enough really good people and you put in the time, you'll get all the results you want.
Uh-huh.
Because that guy's so good. All the footage I've seen of him, he's really good. Him, Yuki, those
Yeah, man.
guys are really,
They're on the
really
like
good.
this level, right? And it's
Yeah.
you know it's a certain commitment to the game, and
Yeah, they got. I think if I were to guess, they probably played the most games. I would assume,
yeah, and it
or at least
also
a very
matters.
very high amount.
But going back to your other point too, right? It also depends on the
Hmm.
quality of the competition,
The competition. That's
you
right.
know. And so
That's right.
I think if I haven't done this personally, but if you
Hmm.
take a look at the history of all of the top American Third Strike players in history and think
Hmm.
about where they came up, who they played,
Location. Yeah.
because a lot of the players came up during an era where the arcade started dying, and so they had to go online. And so it'd be interesting
Yeah.
to kind of go, okay, so who did these players play when they first started?
Play. Yeah.
When they first started grinding the game, did they,
Hmm.
who were they constantly trying to match up with? What events
Hmm.
they entered and so forth and so on. And you'll
Right.
probably see
Right.
you'll probably see some method to the madness. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, for
Like when
sure.
it
For
comes to
sure.
like, yeah, I should probably play this person. Like for example,
Hmm.
like say like I want to be a Ken main,
Hmm.
and I want to learn a lot of and I want to learn the Ken Chun matchup. Maybe I
Yeah.
could reach out to the best. Like
Right.
I
Right.
would reach out to a Ryan or a Frankie or
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
so forth and so on.
No
I would
doubt.
try to pick their brains or play them and so forth and so on.
For sure.
Um,
For sure.
and the scene's so small. I mean, it's
Yeesh.
it's going to be. I'm pretty sure a lot of these players, most players in the Third Strike scene are willing to share knowledge, and at this point, right? And so
You would hope so.
yeah, and so I'm
Shout out
just
to
saying,
Dice, shout out to Dice Gaze Night School.
3S Night School, we'll be back, we'll be back. Shout out to Daisuke, DAB Daisuke holding
Hmm.
it down. Hope you're doing well, my brother. Hope you're being safe.
Hmm.
So yeah, man, like for people who are grinding and trying to get better at the game, like add some method to the madness. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
think
Right.
about what you want to get better at. Think
Hmm.
about who you could play that can help you get better at whatever it is you want to get better at.
Right.
And et cetera, et cetera. So,
Yeah.
um,
But
and
that's
I think a lot of that kind of mitigates. Okay, I mean, I guess we're gonna really, really, really keep it real here, right? So, like, online play, right? Like, I understand that players have players have an instinctual desire to try and measure themselves
Right.
against other players.
For sure.
And that's understandable. But therein lies the problem, because all online ports of Third Strike are suboptimal, I guess.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I guess depending on whatever. It's not, let's keep it real, right? It's not offline Third Strike. It's not online Third Strike, okay? And so
it's not the same at all.
I just feel like some players, certain players, would benefit not worrying so much about their wins and losses. And like we talked about before, maybe using the online platform as an opportunity to work on specific things.
Exactly.
And
I always tell people, here, like even offline or online, but mainly offline, I tell people I never forget to practice as I play. Like I'm not always.
What do you mean by that?
But I'm not sometimes I won't be going for the optimal everything to try to body somebody. Sometimes I'll be trying to put myself in a situation to build muscle memory to get out of it a certain way, or to react to certain things a certain way. Like I never forget to practice things as I play. I'm not trying to just spam throw against somebody who just can't tech on time. I want to try some other things. I try not to lose sight of the fact that I got to practice as I play sometimes. Yeah. It's not tournament all the time. You know what I mean?
I think a prime example of that is red parrying.
For sure. For sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you're playing, I lose a lot of life
trying to red parry.
Yeah. If you're playing casuals, you better go for every goddamn red parry, dog.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You better go for every one of them. Because when else are you going to practice that?
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's right. It's no surprise. It's funny. It became like some people at Logan.
Okay, well, you don't go for every red parry, right? I actually have a video that talks about safe red parries. Things that you can attempt, things you can attempt, but if you fuck it up, it doesn't, it doesn't lead to more damage or anything like that. But anyway, go ahead.
But it's no coincidence that a lot of the highlight reel kind of things happen in casual, like a part 2 player from here. So a lot of the times when Logan is about to close,
he's in the chat right now. Shout out to Jose, part 2.
Shout out to part 2. And sometimes some just wild highlight reel stuff will just happen because we're just going for it, going for whatever. We're giving ourselves the opportunity to make these things happen. Probably not in the tournament. You wouldn't go for the same thing. It's kind of unsafe, but some of the most impressive parries ever have been performed. I've ever seen been performed by part 2. Like it just some crazy, unreal parries, and I don't want to say me as well, but a lot of crazy stuff happens. But in casual, that'll never happen in tournament. Like I'll never think to go for stuff like that. I'll just play more safe in tournament. You know what I mean? Like you try to go for practice the muscle memory for those highlight reel kind of moments in casual. That's what I try to do.
Speaking of parries, I have this theory about Third Strike players, Adam, that there are 2 types of Third Strike players, when they come into the game, right? There's people who guard, and there's people who block. There's people who block, and there's people who parry. And the path to greatness for either of those 2 players is to find however way they're going to find it, find that realization that they have to balance the 2. You know what I mean? So it's
absolutely.
But you always start off with have you ever played people, dog? Like have you ever played people in Third Strike? They're not tournament players. They're just kind of what we call them random people. Like for example, in Chinatown Fair, there would always be random people that would just be godlike in the game. You know what I'm saying? But have you ever played a player?
I'm glad I got to go there before it closed.
Oh yeah. Have you ever played a player like that? That just was so godlike at parrying. He parried everything. You cannot press a button against this guy. Coming up in SoCal, that player for me was Frankie, right? Frankie 3S. You could not
the Denjin
Ryu player. Frankie. You could not press a button near this man. He would parry everything you did. He was so good. He was so good, especially at the wake up parry. He was so good at that, right? If you even if you knocked him down, you'd see players they're a sweep distance away, they're nah, right.
You'll see them. I'm
I'm not even gonna mess with that. You know, I'm gonna let you get up and then we'll go. But
exactly. Yeah. I think the first guy I played that was like, man, well, he's fucking parrying everything. I think might have been he was an out of towner. Oh man. What the heck was this guy's name? Oh my god, I can't remember this guy's name. But he wasn't like very good. He wasn't very good.
Damn.
But he would rarely block. He would just parry. He would just parry.
Yeah.
And it was like if he wouldn't punish.
And they know how to parry everything, right? Like every move.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
What's the guy's name? The guy was an Alex player.
Yeah.
I can't remember this guy's name. Oh my god, this was like in 07 or something like that. I was like, damn, you parry everything.
Mm-hmm.
And he would still lose.
Yeah.
You know?
But yeah, right. There's those players that like they come into the game and they're just parrying everything, and they see. And
because you get addicted. You get like a dopamine hit.
Every time you parry something, you get a hit of dopamine.
Yeah.
Quote
because you get
on that. Parrying is like taking a shot of dopamine, dude.
It's true. To block somebody's attack and be able to counter. Yeah. That's why, because I've always thought it was called blocking in Japan.
Yeah, it is
more
called
akin
blocking,
to
right? Yeah,
actually blocking an attack. If anyone's ever sparred in a ring or for whether full contact or karate or boxing, you know what it feels like to block someone's attack and hit them afterwards is so gratifying. And it's like a small glimmer of that in Third Strike, in my opinion. That same kind of dopamine. You're like, ooh, I got you. Like I knew you were gonna do that. Bang, bang, got you. It is addictive. Like, we all fall prey to it. We all fall prey to it.
But like, I feel like I'm never ever gonna like. Every time I go for a parry, I always think I'm gonna miss it. You know what I'm saying? Like there's basically, you know what I'm saying? Every time I go for a parry, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna fuck this up. But there are some players where like, they believe, dude. Their belief is so strong, and I will never have that belief, dude. Every time I go for a parry, I'm just.
A lot of my losses, honestly, are people wake up parrying.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'll try to chip them out some way,
and New York wake up gas.
Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
It works. Sometimes it works, man.
Dude, it's rough. It's rough. But dude, yeah, I will never be confident in parrying, dude. I will. Again, every time I try a parry, I always think I'm gonna fuck it up.
No shit. You never buffer it. They never buffer a throw with it.
Yeah.
Just
dude.
in case.
Yeah. So I'll do that with Ken a lot, dude. Where should we go to now? All right, let's talk a little bit about. We were gonna take a break, but I think maybe we should just let it ride, man. Like, you all right with that?
Okay.
I mean, if you,
cool.
Okay, are you sure? All right, cool.
Let's go. Yeah.
So let's let it ride a little bit. So we already talked a little bit about Japan, and so let's talk a little bit about the Chicago scene now. I mean, obviously, pre COVID-19 lockdown era.
Yeah.
And so
BC before COVID.
Yeah, and so talk to me a little bit about some of the players that you think have really improved and show a lot of promise in your mind.
First off, I just want to we're talking about Chicago players. I want to give a shout out to Tough Gnarl, Jose Maciel, and Quentin Holness, who goes by I don't know what name he goes by these days. Something Pancake, something. I don't know what name he goes by. It might be just Q. But those two guys brought me out to Logan because I was just playing online, tinkering around online, and I would play Quentin sometimes. He's like, "Yo, you live in Chicago? You should come to Logan. We got people who like to play the game here." And I'm like, "Oh shit!" And fast forward, and here we are. But as far as shout out to them, shout out. As far as who's improved, everyone has. When I first came back to offline play, which was, it was a blessing. Everyone, I'll just say this. Every once in a while, I would get a streak of like 40, 50, every once in a while. When I get in the zone, like no one could, take me off the machine or whatever. That can't happen. That can't happen anymore. Like it's not possible. Like too many people know my bullshit. They know my tricks. They know what I'm up to. They have a beat on me, so that can't happen anymore. Everyone's improved. Jose improved tremendously.
They know when you're scheming now, dude. They
yeah,
smell it now.
they totally.
They smell it.
Yeah, they totally. Yeah, everyone knows. Everyone pretty much knows. I have to like really switch it up and try and do other things to secure the win now. I've had to fight Big Red as well as Antonio and Jose in the finals of the last 3 Jazzy tournaments we've had, and they've all either reset the bracket on me or beat me a set. You know what I mean? Like
they're coming for you, man. They're coming for you.
Yeah. It's like it's done. Like they're on to me. And I like the feedback I get from out of towners too. Like I've heard people, compliment Big Red, say, "Yo, who's that tall guy that plays King? Yo, he's nasty." I'm like, "Yeah, dude. Like that dude wasn't even that great 2 years ago, but now he's terrific. He's like a terrific player now." More like 3 years ago. He got good actually about 2.5 years ago, I would say. Because I used to just, when I first started playing, Big Red and all those guys, I felt like I could do whatever I wanted to, and I would just wrap it up, in a bow by the end of the round. But now it's like they know everything. Like they want to whiff punish with super and option selects and all this. I'm like, ugh, this is a little rough, but it's still fun though. It's fun. It's fun. It keeps me on edge. Keeps me sharp. I guess
you're exposing us
for as much as we play.
You're exposing us old people, man. Exposing our tech.
Hey, man.
Can't expose that over 40 tech though. You know what I'm saying?
I turned 40 this year.
Oh well.
I'm trying to get in shape for that.
Definitely, man. Definitely. Hopefully we'll be out of lockdown by then, right?
You're right. Hopefully. But you can only stay ahead for so long in your local scene. I don't know how much a player like Kyo links up with guys offline, but he's a brilliant player, and I don't see how anybody that played him with regularity couldn't get godlike. So
there's proof. There's proof, and it's Vankabot, right?
Oh,
because Kyo basically introduced Vankabot to Third Strike. Or at least sort of helped basically, grow the beast, so to speak. Shout outs to Vankabot.
No kidding. Shout out to Kyo and Vanka. Damn, I didn't know that.
And like you're the one who mentioned it earlier, Adam, right? Like it's like osmosis, dude. You play a good player.
Yeah.
You play good competition. It may not happen at the same speed as everyone else, but eventually you will improve. And
when did Vanka start?
Vankabot. What's up? Oh,
when did Vanka start?
2-3 years ago, I think.
Ooh,
like 2.5 years ago,
wow.
3 years ago. Yeah, man.
Wow. Also, shout out to people like Crime Alley.
Crime Alley, also from Michigan, like Detroit, Michigan area.
And what's the young kid from New York? He's not a young kid, but you know what I mean. He's younger. The Dudley player that I played.
Cannon Black?
The Dudley Cannon Black.
Cannon Black. Shout out to Cannon Black.
He kind of shocked me with his Dudley. I was like, I've seen footage of him before, and I was like, okay, whatever, but it's different in person. He can actually play. He's one of the younger guys too. He's like 20 or something like that. It's crazy.
Well, he started playing the game when he was like 12. Like he actually went his first tournament. I think he was like 12 or 11 or something like that.
Whoa.
But anyway,
okay,
you can hear more about that on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Mutant XPerience, because I do have a podcast with Cannon Black. So definitely check that out if you want to know more about Cannon Black.
I gotta watch that.
Definitely.
Shout out to the young beast out there.
Yeah, man. And gosh, like there's been so much good Third Strike, like in the last couple of years, dude. Like it's so much good Third Strike. Dude,
oh yeah.
What are some of the matches that kind of like stick out in your mind, dude, in the last, like, maybe in recent memory? Like, not just in Chicago, but just anywhere, dude. Like, for example, like, I mentioned Big Nasty and Lance, their Chun
Yeah,
Hugo showdown at
yeah, yeah,
Frosty Faustings 2020.
yeah,
Shout outs to Frosty
yeah,
Faustings.
yeah. Okay, besides that Ahmed and Daisuke shit that
Mm-hmm.
went down,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um, there was. Well, let's go to Frosty Faustings. I really, one player I like enjoying to watch in action is Onagai.
Mm-hmm. Rick.
Onagai, I like watching. I
Big
like
Rick.
watching him play.
Yeah.
Seeing him overcome the Elena from Canada. What's his name?
Pyteria.
Pyterian.
Pyteria. Shout outs
Pyteria.
to Pyteria.
Yes.
Still plays on PS3, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah, he caught everybody by surprise with his wild, just wild, carefree Elena.
Dude,
And
see, that's what I'm talking about. Yo, Adam, that's what I'm talking about. Because this dude drove 8 hours just for Third Strike.
Yeah.
Look me in the eye. Look me in the eye, Dirtmaster, and tell me you would do the same. You know what I'm saying?
I do that.
Look me in the eye. Okay.
Dude, I started traveling. I started traveling like a year ago.
Yeah.
Like I went to Michigan Masters. That's my first out of town tournament ever. Michigan Masters, because it was only three hours away, and then I got a flight to New York. That's why I went there. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
If I didn't have that, if stuff like that didn't happen, I probably wouldn't travel to play the game. To be totally honest.
Yeah.
But I'd still be excited about it. But yeah, Pyterian, he was there for a reason. He obviously knew he was gonna draw some blood.
Oh, he drew he drew the top blood. I mean, shout outs to Kill, but he drew.
Yeah.
Like he just straight up went surprising. Up for the king, dog. Like he just, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, he wilded out. He wilded out. But to see Onagai, to circle back to why I like that match, to see Onagai contain him throughout their set was really, really dope to see. Because I watching that guy play, I was like, oh man, this is gonna be. I don't feel like playing that guy. I was watching him. I was like, I don't want to deal with this wild.
Right, like the way they move and shit. Like like the way.
Yeah, he had a very unpredictable kind of style. Like I like to know what you're up to, like right away.
Yeah.
And he was just wild style, literally. Like that's kind of one of the things that I like about Third Strike. You can inject some creativity and like kind of improvisation into it.
Dude.
But to see Onagai contain him was really dope.
Dude, I could have sworn we talked about this, or maybe we talked about it off off stream, but Neiman mentioned it earlier in the chat. Shout outs to Neiman. Go play him on Steam.
Yo, Neiman, yeah. Shout out to Neiman.
But as Neiman, spoilers. But Neiman had pointed out earlier in the stream, Dirtmaster, you are also a very renowned and talented musician. From what I hear, and so tell me a little bit about and so before you tell me a little about my music, I wanted to use kind of that as a segue, and then it just all fell apart. But anyway,
okay, probably about creativity.
Like we're talking about creativity, right? Like how important? Like talk to me about like how important you think creativity is when you play Third Strike.
I think it's no surprise that a lot of really, really sick Third Strike players are really, really astute at something else outside of Third Strike, whether you're, programmer, artist, skateboarder, educator, comedian, whatever it is, whatever takes meticulous practice, it's like a craft that takes a meticulous practice. It doesn't surprise me that a lot of Third Strike players have something that they really sink their teeth into creatively outside of Third Strike. I think it's really important. And Third Strike is kind of unique in that way where you can inject creativity into it. Half the time I play, I know I have a good handle on some frame data, right? I have a good handle on managing distance, where the jumps are, knowing where the jumps are, knowing where card throws are, what I'm going to do to set up certain block strings and whatnot. But sometimes I'll just freestyle and let opportunities kind of happen. And a lot of times some cool stuff happens when I just let that,
kind of let things kind of happen and fall into place that way. I love moments like that. I love happy accidents and working off that. Like
So what are some other matches that kind of stand out in your mind?
Let me think. There was one that happened at, I think, Don's Arcade.
Mm-hmm.
It was between Arlieth and a Ken player. The Ken player's name was
5 Star.
An interesting name. I forget.
5 Star?
No, it wasn't 5
Oh,
Stars.
it was a Big Game James.
Else.
Big Game James.
Big Game James. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was some nice adjustments that Big Game James.
By the way,
made. And that.
By the way, sorry, but shameless plug. I also had Big Game James on a podcast recently, so check that out.
Oh, nice.
YouTube.com/XPerience.
I'm sleeping. I gotta check that out. Yeah, that was really solid play from both of them in that one. Mm-hmm. What else was good matches? I actually enjoyed. What match was it? And well, a lot of the matches in the Jazzy finale last year. Freaking KO Fiend versus Yuki. That weird
God.
The close to that set. It was heartbreaking because I'd never seen that ever happen ever.
Mm-hmm.
The way it tracked him, the way that super tracked him jumping up,
mm-hmm.
but it happened. So it was a very, surprising ending. Like that was a new shit. I never seen that super track up an opponent jumping straight up that way. It was really strange, but that was a terrific set the whole way through, and it ends in something I'd never seen before. That was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
me versus Ahmed was pretty cool too.
Yeah, it was. It's cool. Well, hey,
but yeah,
can't win them all.
Oh, hey, no doubt. No doubt. That's also another thing I like about their strike is no matter how good you are, you can still get the work from any good player.
Mm-hmm.
You literally can't. It's impossible. Even top players in Japan, I'll see them occasionally just die to, what seems like random shit.
Uh-huh.
Well, I'll watch a match and be like, what are they respecting? Like I'll watch like Piero, the Remy player, against Nuki or somebody like that, or against Boss Ken or something like that, and it's just like destroy them. It's like, what are they respecting? Like, why are they blocking his crescent kick or whatever that kick is called, the somersault kick?
Yeah.
Why are they blocking that instead of parrying? You can see it and parry it. I do it all the time against every Remy ever. But they're respecting something else. It's something else I'm not seeing.
Dang. Dirtmaster just straight up said, I have parried every cold blue kick ever in my entire life.
Even online. No, I'm just kidding. That's what's called. Cold blue kick. That's cold what's blue called. Cold blue but the move is, the thing is you can see it. You have the eyes for it. You can, right. It's a very, very parryable move.
Oh,
and they block it. They block it. They're blocking Piero's cold blue kick. They're blocking it. They're not parrying that move. They're blocking it. It's like, man, how do you?
Yeah.
Like that leads to a lot of, pressure that, I don't know. Sometimes I watch really good players play, and I think,
CBK is
dying to that.
Well, CBK is still unsafe on block. It's just a matter of
spacing, I know,
right?
Yeah. But even if you space it, you can still see it. Like you can still see it. I don't know. I guess different players have different eyes for different moves. You know what I mean? Like I'll watch.
To me, what's most impressive about Piero's cold blue kick are the reads he makes. To punish Shoto low forward. Like when he lands, every time he lands one of those, I'm like, like that is godlike. Like like his ability to punish crouching medium with cold blue kick.
Yeah. I used to think, but that's a hard read.
Dude, that's hard.
I used to think that. I used to think that he did it.
I don't think so.
Right?
Man. No way.
I used to think that he did it when people were walking forward, so that it'd be difficult to parry after you walk forward.
Yeah.
But I don't know. The more footage I've seen from that guy, it seems like they get scared. There's something else happening. They're either respecting,
or maybe at a certain distance, like even if the opponent even if the opponent blocks, right?
Can't punish.
They won't be able to punish, and so the only thing is the parry.
Yeah.
So, you know,
And they rather
yeah,
not.
I'd have to think.
But yeah, that's
that.
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of good players. Circling back to what I said before, yeah,
Dude, Remy is so
even
much
great
fun,
players
dude.
can lose to super good players.
Yeah. Everyone can get to work at any moment.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and a prime example of that, I think now is a good time for us to take a look back at some different at a different type of creativity, Dirtmaster. And so we have come to the point of the show where we're going to review some of the some of what I believe to be some of the more unique examples of Dirt Strike gameplay. Yes, everyone, I am referring to Pack It Up. And so for those of you who are new to the podcast, basically, I view Pack It Up as an educational program. It's
naturally.
It tries to improve players through deterrence, right? And public shaming. You know, because obviously it's important to
I went from safe to straight up saying shame.
So I feel like I'm doing the Third Strike scene a service because I'm keeping everyone on their toes.
No doubt.
And making sure that people clean up their gameplay. And so like we did in the last podcast, we're gonna go all of the clips that are in this Pack It Up are from the first Jazzy online fundraiser for Venue Relief, which took place 2 weeks ago, 2 Tuesdays ago. And it was an amazing, it was an amazing tournament. And what was even more amazing is that through the help of Maturino, we were able to raise over $1,000 for the gaming zone in Arizona. Remember, guys, if we don't keep the venues alive, there's no point in doing anything Jazzy related. So, let's all try and support our local venues to make sure that we have places to play Third Strike when all this is said and done. So anyhow, all of the clips from this week's Pack It Up are from the first Jazzy online fundraiser for Venue Relief, which raised money for the gaming zone in Arizona. And an added bonus, Dirtmaster has so graciously created a brand new theme or soundtrack for Pack It Up. Donated a beat. I mean, dude, this is like fun. What 10K value? Like, what's it? Or I don't know how much beats are. I mean, I don't know. I'm just throwing a number out there.
Stop.
But yeah. So hopefully this loads correctly, and we don't have a Pack It Up moment here. So without further ado, guys, here is this week's edition of Pack It Up.
Hey, get 'em.
All right. Okay, hopefully everyone can hear it. Nominee number 1. Here is Kachik and Kyo. You probably can't hear anything, but the stream can hear it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
Kyo's Dudley.
Yeah, Kyo's Dudley. Does the backswing blow? I don't know. It just looked really funky, and I needed to include it. So another clip, we have MGS Turtle. I don't know why I chose this. It just seems so funny to me. But yeah,
we've all done it. I do it all the time.
Yeah, dude, I have. Someone's gotten this Oki for sure. Someone's always gotten this Oki for sure. For sure. Nominee number 3, Onagai versus Rico. Onagai with a pretty sick confirm, but I don't know where this went.
Oh Lord. Oh.
So yeah,
I think he's probably mashing. He might have still been mashing.
Yo,
no,
damn.
No, he wasn't.
Dirtmaster just straight up said he was mashing.
No. You know I didn't mean it like that. Jesus Christ.
I'm just well, I don't know. How else am I supposed to define mashing?
Fierce? Damn.
Oh no. The confirm.
Oh, he's taunting right back. I like that. I like that.
Nominee number 4, another clip with Rico, this time against his Texas running buddy, Tommy Two-Step. We have a series of errors. This clip is so sublimely packed up that you have to just look at Vakabot's face, Dirtmaster.
Holy cow.
He is just beside himself. He just has no idea just what to think here. I mean, look at Vaka's face. Look at his face. He's about to like.
And close overhead like that. That's crazy.
Dude.
Holy cow.
Wow. Oh, and another Kachik clip. We got Kachik versus Onagai. Kachik actually has Onagai on the ropes. And then manages to piss it away. Oh my goodness, Kachik.
No, I've been there.
Oh, Kachik. Oh no.
Bam, this is it.
He just had to wait.
Oh my god.
That's what killed him. And the sweep. Nobody's parrying that, dude. Look at Vaka's face. Oh my gosh. He is.
Hugo sweep is very good.
Oh my goodness. All right. So, let me know what your favorite is. Go ahead and tweet me 1 through 5. I think they're all pretty good, to be honest.
They're all pretty good, but I definitely have a favorite.
Yeah. What's your favorite?
I have a favorite.
What's your favorite?
The Venka reaction.
The Venka reaction. Well, there were 2 of them.
Yeah.
There were 2 of them.
Necro versus Chun.
Yeah.
Rico and freaking who was it? Other guy. Was it? No, it wasn't Other guy. Necro versus Tommy Two-Step. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Tommy Two-Step.
Solid Chun.
Oh man. Wow, that was a pretty good pack it up. That was rough, but you know that is what it is.
I could totally provide you. Yeah, I could provide you with a pack it up highlight reel of my own. Honestly,
dude, I actually did a pack it up of myself. You can check it out on youtube.com/Mutant XPerience.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
I'm sleeping.
I'm not above reproach. If anything, I'm not above reproach.
Nobody is. Even Japanese matches, I see a lot of mistakes happening. So.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. So tell since we're first of all, thank you so much for that awesome beat, man. I thought
no problem, man.
That'll definitely be up on YouTube. You're definitely gonna get a shout out from me, get credit. And so with that said, tell me a little bit about your music, man. So I know you write beats, but fill in the blanks, dude. Let me know what's going on with you.
I'm what people call a turntablist fellow, like a scratch DJ, a DJ that's more scratch oriented. And I go by Toadstyle. Just Google or YouTube Toadstyle. You'll see me. Look for the light skin guy. You'll see me.
The light skin guy?
Yeah. So I've been doing that for maybe since 2000. It's part of the reason why I stopped going to arcades around 2000. Like I missed the Marvel CVS era. I missed that because I wasn't playing games as much then because of the music. But it allowed me to travel around the world, and have a lot of fun and live life, live a charmed life. It's to some degree over the last 15 or so years. And I like it. Just Google me. Look, I'm terrible at talking about myself, but it's something I've done for a long time. It's something I don't want to say I'm famous or anything like that, but I have pockets of people around the globe who know me for the turntablist stuff. So, but they know that I play games as well. So it's a fun little crossover there.
Google this man. You don't know. You don't know. So, earlier you were talking about how so many godlike Third Strike players are really godlike at something else. And so obviously you're no exception with the music and Third Strike.
I identify with that.
What are some of the connections that you can identify with making music and playing Third Strike? Because it would seem as though Third Strike's a super ultra competitive game, and then music is this sort of this artistic thing.
Yeah. Yeah. The way I approach it is not
Like,
really at the core a competitive approach. Not really. It's more of a rhythmic thing. Like if I have like it's a kind of a trope
mm-hmm,
that we say at Logan,
mm-hmm,
that because one side of the cabinet, we only have one cabinet at Logan.
mm-hmm,
One side of the cabinet has no sound.
mm-hmm,
And so a lot of people, well, in particular, me and a couple other people lose a lot of games on that side because you need some people need audio cues
mm-hmm.
because we have a certain timing. Everything has a beat in Third Strike, pretty much.
Well,
Even the staggered.
Well, an even
things.
more basic point is, have you ever noticed that
Mhm.
when everyone who has like a pretty godlike overhead, they always say something first. No, really, they always make a sound.
Some kind of timing.
They always
Some
make
kind
a
of timing
sound.
mechanism. Yeah.
And
Right. You're right.
That's probably on purpose. To see if you can react to that sound, and then see if you can
Absolutely.
prevent it.
Yeah. I mean, it's why people do certain, if they get like a hard knockdown, they do certain, attacks as a timing mechanism to know when to go for the cross up or things like that. People need timing mechanisms in Third Strike, and some people are better at that than others.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's certain sequences I'll do with certain characters that, especially with like Ibuki as of recent, like, I know how it's gonna sound as I execute it. So I kind of use that as my guide sometimes. I know it's gonna sound like ba 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 ba. Same with parrying. Some parry, some moves, super arts or moves that I parry, or certain strings that I parry have a certain cadence, and I use that as my guide. Like I'll equate it to something else, like a lyric or something like that. Like everything has a timing.
Mm-hmm.
Everything has a timing.
Mm.
I know it sounds weird, but it's that's my approach to the game. It's very rhythmic. If I have no sound, I'm not playing the best Third Strike.
Mm.
Well, at least my best Third Strike. I can't. I need the audio cues.
Mm-hmm.
I do.
So how has making music specifically helped you in terms of focus? Because one of the most important things about playing Third Strike on a competitive level is your ability to basically block everything else out and just focus deeply into the game. Like everyone who has had this experience knows what I'm talking about, right? Like you Dirtmaster. Like there are times when you really get up on the cab, right? Like you got to get up on that cab real close, and then you gotta move the arms, and you're like, okay, I'm really ready. Like I'm really locked in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then when the match starts, like it's almost like it's almost like you're diving deep into the game, dude. Like you're like literally like just your mind is just sort of plunging into that game, and nothing else, it matters and shit,
So one of my strengths in I mean, my game is what it is in general, but one of my strengths in tournament play is I'm very, very relaxed. A player at Michigan Masters pulled me aside and said, dude, how do you stay so calm? How are you playing like you do and stay like you don't have any kind of tells that you're nervous or anything like that? And I'm just like, I mean, I'm used to performing on, because that's another aspect. I'm used to performing on stage.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've done a lot. I've performed all over the globe on stage where I have to literally be the beat. I'm not like listening to, we're not just spinning music. We have to like execute, the beat, like with our hands. And we have to be our own metronome. There is no falling off. So I know what it feels like to fuck up under those circumstances and be cool with it. It's like, it's not the end of the world. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
This circles back to the happy accidents thing. Like I'm not afraid of messing up, because you can still, especially in Third Strike, you can play imperfect and still manage to wrap things up. If you're in the right place at the right time, and with the right meter, with the right amount of meter and stuff like that. But I think it was Minnesota, my man from Minnesota, Ruben, Big Bad Wolf. He pulled me aside and said, "Yo, man, like I noticed that you're very, very relaxed. Like what can you you got any advice for staying? Because that calm, because I'm very nervous. I'm like, man, just, it sounded very trivial, but I'm like, just don't stress it. It's not the end of the world. It's just a game.
Yeah, right.
Foremost,
It's like
a game.
It's just Street Fighter.
Yeah, right. But obviously with the advent of streaming, stuff being on camera, it adds another layer of nervousness. I think Al, the brilliant Chun player from Austin, who now lives in Chicago, he tells me about that. He's like, man, I fucking suck on camera. I'm like, dude, you got to get over that, because you know how good he is. He's so good. Like, you shouldn't be thinking about that while you're working your brick wall Chun-Li. You know what I mean? You should let that be the thing that rattles you. The fact that it's on camera, like, it's no big deal. I think he got over that though. His last time he entered the tournament, I think he got over it. I think we had like a session at Jose's house, and he actually beat me in what's it called? It's like this Japanese style of team tournament where we pick two characters, and I forget what that's called. Tough Gnarl. Yeah, something like that. Yeah. And he actually took it, and it was streamed, so you guys can watch that on Tough Gnarl's channel. I think it might be up there.
Yeah, feel free to type in Tough Gnarl's channel. I think it's twitch.tv/TUFFGNARL, I think.
Yeah.
But
I wouldn't be performing like my last year. I wouldn't be performing as nearly as well in tournament as I would had I not had experience on stage.
Mm-hmm.
Where the stakes are a little bit higher. Honestly, people are expecting you to perform at a high level. Oh my God. And you can't mess up. So, obviously it's easier in that realm because I have a lot more experience there. But, you gotta stay relaxed. You gotta stay relaxed. So let your muscle memory take over.
Mm-hmm. So correct me if I'm wrong, Dirtmaster, but you have never entered a cooperation cup?
No, just that random Danisen. Mm-hmm. Just that random Danisen years ago.
So let's say you were, hypothetically speaking, planning to go to Japan to compete in Cooperation Cup, and you wanted to enlist a few of your fellow Chicago players.
Just Chicago or just in general?
Just Chicago.
Chicago?
Just Chicago. Just Chicago.
Okay.
Tell me what your Chicago Co-op Cup team is, man. Give it to me right now. I want to hear it.
Including me? Including me or excluding me?
Including you.
So I gotta pick four.
So
only
four. Only four.
Oh my God.
Only
okay,
four.
I'll say as of right now.
Okay.
As of right now, who's in Chicago?
Right,
it would be Al, the Chun-Li player.
Okay.
Al.
Okay.
Even though he's technically from Austin, Texas. Technically from Austin, but he's.
Yeah, but if he lives in Chicago,
Right. It'd be Al. It would be. Damn, this last three, dude.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be Tough Gnarl.
Okay.
Part 2 and Big Red.
Well, let's take a look at these characters, though. So we got Tough Gnarl with Elena.
Elena, yes.
We have Big Red with Ken. We have
Ken
Al with Chun.
Yeah.
No. Big Red's using Ken.
He also
Big Red's using Ken.
He also. Big Red's using Ken. Al's also good. Al's got a pretty decent Ken and Akuma actually as well, but Chun is the wall.
So we got we got Elena, Chun, Ken.
Mm-hmm.
And who Ibuki?
Part 2 Ibuki. Part 2 Ibuki.
Ibuki?
Yeah.
But who are you gonna
now,
who are you using?
Under the pretense that I couldn't use Elena, I probably use Alex because
you can use Elena if you wanted.
Okay. Then I might choose her.
But you wouldn't dust off the Makoto? You wouldn't.
Realistically, if I would, I'd probably decide.
Because Makoto is a super strong character in Co-op Cup, man.
In one and done, yeah.
One game? Oh my God! One game?
Everybody
Makoto?
can get
Oh
it.
no! Yeah. Oh no!
Yeah. It would probably be Alex or Makoto, because the character I had the most success with in Japan was Alex. I know it may sound surprising, but my Alex was working for a little bit over there. It's just very simple, very simple. Effective.
Alex is a very strong Co-op Cup character too.
Yeah. Yep.
You know.
It'd be one of those. It'd be one of those two.
Oh wow.
I'm actually. I mean, people know me for playing Elena. They've seen me playing Elena in tournaments, but my most damaging characters are Alex, Makoto, Q a little bit when I want to.
Yeah. But
Q can be pretty.
Yeah. But based on your teammates' characters, Makoto is the way to go.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is, right? I mean, let's all
logically.
I mean, that's a godlike team. Elena, Chun, Ken, Ibuki.
It's a lot of looks.
And Makoto? Oh.
It's a lot of looks.
Oh,
it's a lot of looks.
My god, that's like.
It's a lot of looks.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, but good luck on getting 5 Chicago players to go out to Japan.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Never happen.
We'll see. I don't know. We'll see.
I can't see it happening.
But that is a godlike team.
Yeah. Totally. That's who I pick. That's what I pick.
Wow. Okay.
I feel good about that team.
Okay. Now say you could send 2 teams. All right.
Ooh.
You got varsity. Ooh. You got varsity, and then you got the junior varsity. Who is on the JV team? Tell me who's on the JV team right now, Dirtmaster.
It's technically not JV. The secondary team of 5 is going to be. Oh man, this is tough because there's actually a decent amount of players here, but we just don't show up at the same time. It's going to be. Okay, I'll run them down. It's going to be Carrie.
Harry.
Who goes by Soul Avenger.
Okay. Continue.
It'll be Carrie. It will be Jose's brother, who goes by Silent Impact.
Okay.
He's gotten a lot better over the last couple of years. Man, the last 3 is kind of up in the air.
Oh no.
Probably dude Mikey. This guy Mikey. You guys, I mean, there's players here that people have no idea of, but they know how to play. Mikey, his first tournament was at Frosty last year. He might have gotten maybe 12th or something like that. He almost got in the top 8. Who else that I would send to Japan? That's the whole different dynamic, sending them to Japan.
Yeah.
I mean, we're all gonna die. Shit.
But who's gonna put up a good fight?
Who else?
Who's gonna put up?
Right. Let me think, man.
No Q, no
Roberts,
Quentin.
Carrie.
Quentin's
he's in Texas.
Oh, he's in Texas. Oh yeah, never mind then. Okay, I thought he was in Chicago. Okay.
Yeah. I would probably put him on the first team if he lived.
Because that's why. That's what you mentioned. You mentioned Carrie over Quentin. I was like, So continue.
Damn, who would I put over there? Probably my man. His name is Quentin as well. He goes by Hologram Mike Ross. He did decent at Michigan Masters. He's gotten a lot better since then. And my boy Antonio. Sorry, I almost forgot about Antonio.
Wow.
Antonio almost he goes by Mexican 3S online. He almost beat me in the last tournament I entered. He almost beat me.
With Denjin Ryu?
Yeah. Yep.
He
almost got it done. He was playing really solid that day. So that would be the team.
So let's run down the characters. So we got Antonio with Denjin Ryu. We got Silent Impact with Dudley. Mikey
has Dudley as well.
Okay, Mikey with another Dudley. Okay, interesting. Then we got Hologram Mike Ross with Goki. And we have Carrie with Alex. Ryu too. No. Wow. Well, that's actually wait. That's kind of interesting. Okay, because if Carrie uses Ryu, right? There's 2 Ryus, there's 2 Dudleys, and then there's a Goki.
Yeah.
That's an interesting team. But Carey doesn't use Denjin, but that's good, right? Because Carey doesn't use Denjin, so it's like a different.
He doesn't
look.
play. Carey is a different look. It's a different look entirely. You know, Carey's biggest strength is his speed. He's a fast player.
Uh-huh.
He doesn't necessarily do all the optimal things. I'll be totally honest. But he's a fast player. He makes fast decisions. That's his strength.
Uh-huh.
And sometimes he gets over on really good players. Sometimes he does.
Uh-huh.
You know, and it's a one and done. So
yeah.
You never know.
Yeah. No. Carey came from Chinatown Fair, dude. You know.
Right. That's right.
That's he grit his teeth there, dude, over here.
That's right.
Wow.
That's right.
Wow, that's an interesting team. Wow. Because I was like, maybe they needed Alex, but like, that's an interesting look to have like the 2 Ryus and the 2 Dudleys, and then we have.
It would be, but it could also work against you in that situation, because if you go back to back, they already got the Dudley look, so they're already prepared for what's coming next. But you never know though. One and done is death anyway. It's like, it's either going to happen or it's not going to happen.
Yeah, but the thing is, it can always still happen.
Right. You know, like a couple guys were talking about Chicago versus Austin. If at the Jazzy,
let's talk about
Jazzy would have. Yeah. I was thinking about who we would assemble, and like honestly, you know, it'd be a team pretty much similar to the first team I already mentioned. But here's the thing: historically, if you look at all my wins in tournament, it's always 2-1, 3-2. You know, I always lose the first game. Almost always lose the first game. So technically, I'm not the best at one and done. If it's one and done, I'm not the best. We've had team tournaments here. I think I've won one of them, but I've entered 2 other ones, and I got bodied badly by other people. It's just one game, you know.
Yeah.
It's hard to get into that mindset. I like to make adjustments. You know, instead of just, you know, feel it. You know, one and done. Like it takes me longer to get warm. You know.
Well, when you think about it, right? Like maybe that's another reason why the Japanese are so godlike. Like when you think about it, they play every kind of tournament. They do singles, they do teams, they do generals, they do round robins,
all the fields.
They do Wasada, they do. It's like it's
true.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's
luxury.
It's interesting. I'd be interested to learn what the Japanese feel about. You know, like among their scene, is there like a preference? You know, like do they like singles more? Do they like teams, or is that like not even something that they consider?
I meant to pick Daisuke's brain about that when he was here, but of course we were just busy talking about other stuff. You know,
because I feel like
playing Third Strike.
Because I feel like this is just this is emblematic of the FGC in general. But like, we really do like to complain about like tournament format, right? Like, oh, why is it got to be 3 out of 5, or oh, we got to make it 2 out of 3, or 1 game, or double limb, or it's like we like to gripe about tournament format. And I'm just wondering if it's the same way in Japan. Like they're like, oh man, another team tournament. Like I don't know if they.
I believe it.
That's something that they do.
I believe that actually, because, I remember. I don't know if I should. I'll probably not tell the story, but
no, you gotta tell the story. Now you gotta. Well, you can't do that. No, you can't do that. You can't be like, I'm not gonna tell that story, and then
I have a good parallel to make as well. So when I went to Japan, I had to judge a DJ battle.
Okay.
And and everyone, you would never, based on the crowd that was there and the people who showed up, you would never think that people were super uber competitive, but after a couple of rounds of judging, a couple guys actually approached me and asked me to like explain why they lost. And I never would expect that of people over there, because I've been to Japan, prior. I know I, 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 I like to think I know their general attitude over there. Like they don't really, trip too hard over shit like that, but I could see people tripping hard over tournament losses over there in the same fashion. I could totally see that. Whether for whatever reason, controller, that's my favorite one to bring up, especially in the disembodied joystick tourneys. I'm always moving the stick everywhere. I always blame the stick. I always do that.
But that's kind of almost like a rite of passage, or at least it was.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, newer players don't know that because everyone has their own stick, but
right.
They don't know the horrors of walking into an arcade on tournament day, not knowing what condition the sticks were going to be in. There's a certain there's a certain feeling, right? Like where you're like, oh.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always like, I don't know if it was the same with your friends, but like there was always this like no one wants to mention it first. You know what I mean? Like no one wants to.
True that happened to me at the team tournament at the Jazzy finale. Actually, the team I was on a random team because I signed up last minute or whatever, and I was on a team with like last minute signups, and I was anchor, and I saw the team. We were up against probably the best team, and Hold That was up first. I said, okay, if I can get past Hold That, I'll try to ride that momentum and try to go for the OCV or whatever. And OCV, I scraped by Hold That, and I had Ken in Black next. And during the match, sometimes I would get moves that I wasn't doing the motion for, and I didn't want to be that guy. I didn't want to say, oh, the sticks, whatever. And I dealt with it, lost a close match to Ken in Black. The next guy that sat down on the machine complained about the sticks, and the tech came over and fixed it. I was like, you mother! I should have bitch sliced and cried.
See, that's what you get for being a nice guy, Dirtmaster. You need to start acting like your name. You know what I'm saying?
I didn't want to do that. Come on, I'm not gonna come to New York and be like, oh my god, the sticks are whatever. I couldn't do
that. Where did that name come from?
Dirtmaster?
I know that's not the name that you traditionally went by. So tell everyone the name that you traditionally used to go by.
So I used to go, if anyone had the OG Xbox, or I think even a little bit when I got a 360 at the very beginning. I think I might have still
like
used
in
the name.
2011, like right when it came out.
Yeah, like Shady. I used to go by Shady with like 4 or 5 A's. I went by Shady. So if you ever played that guy online back in the day, that was me. Okay. I remember it was funny. So sometimes I tell that to people and they say, I guess I was kind of harsh back then. I remember Sandy Bags told me that I was kind of a dick online back in the day. I don't even remember. But he was like, "Oh, fuck
everyone's
you,
a dick online, dude. What the fuck? This ain't fucking rocket science. This ain't a proclamation, dude. Everyone's a dick online. All right, continue."
But yeah, that's where. But yeah. So Dirtmaster comes from. It's just a funny ass name. One of the old movies. Hold on, I'll be right back. I'll actually show you.
Okay.
I'll actually show you something. Hopefully Oh, got him. So for those of you who are around my age, you might remember a movie called Barbarians.
Oh my god.
I had the old tape, and it starred the Barbarian brothers. Okay. These guys were a hot item in Hollywood at the time. Back when Arnold Schwarzenegger was popping. One of the characters in the movie, his name is Dirtmaster. And it's the same guy who played in The Hills Have Eyes, the bald-headed guy, the guy's on And I thought it was so hilarious. I just used the name. Like the lady, like the queen or whatever would be talking to, like, yes, Dirtmaster. It's fucking funny, dude.
Oh, sheesh.
Freaking funny. But yeah,
your co-op cup team? Your co-op cup team name should be the Barbarians. That's what should be your cooperation cup team, dude.
Right.
Oh,
How about
no.
the green Barbarians?
The Green Barbarians. Oh my goodness.
I actually like that. Damn.
Dude, that's pretty good. I'm trying. Oh wow. I'm actually trying.
But yeah,
first time on the podcast. Oh wow.
That's where it comes from.
It's not gonna be the
Dirtmaster.
last. Oh wow. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Wow. Oh, well, that's an amazing name. That really is.
I just thought it was hilarious. That was funny.
Oh wow. Oh.
A character named Dirtmaster.
Okay. Oh, dude.
Yeah.
I already forgot what we were talking about already. Oh man.
So good. So good.
Okay. So oh yeah. So I asked about your name. Yeah. That's
see my phone.
Talked about the Austin versus
Oh yeah.
Austin versus Chicago. Yeah. So how did that?
Yeah. So
from your knowledge, how did that sort of get started?
I think the first person who told me about that was Kerry. I think he said he was trying to set it up, or he talked to you about it. Or so maybe it wasn't Kerry. Maybe it was Quinn. I don't know. All I know is it ended up in the Third Strike chat. We have like a chat room, Third Strike chat room on Facebook. Mm-hmm. And someone mentioned the possibility of a Chicago versus Austin. I was like, oh shit, that'd be dope. Because I like those. I really like those players. I like the other tall guy, the Goki player,
Luke,
who was at Jazzy finale last. Yeah, that guy's so good.
I got a podcast with him too, dude. Go over to YouTube.
Damn, really?
Yeah, man.
I'm sleeping. God damn, I'm sleeping. But yeah, I really respect that guy's game. When I first saw him at the finale, I saw him play. You know, I remember thinking, okay, he's okay. Mm-hmm. But then somebody else had said, man, that tall guy's so good with the Goki. I was like, yeah, I'm not seeing something. When I saw him, I saw more of his work. I was like, ooh, okay, it's pretty good. He knows what he's doing. He's here for a reason.
But what's so interesting about that is Austin gonna put? Because you said that Quentin moved to Texas, right? So is it Austin versus Chicago or just Texas versus Chicago?
All I know is this: Quentin might play on the Texas team.
So
if it would ever happen, I like Al. You know, if it's a take Q or Al situation, I'm fine with Al. If they want to play the other way around, I'm fine with. I feel good with Q on our team as well. It's they're both really good. Yeah. I mean, but obviously, Chun is Chun. You know.
There's so much I feel like there's so much so much intrigue in this match. Just because of those two players and the fact that they.
I remember. I remember me and Jamar were talking about, or he mentioned to me the idea of a Midwest versus either West Coast or East Coast, or like coastal kind of things, to kind of, because for a long time the Chicago players and Nebraska were like rival. That's like the closest thing to the Chicago players had to rivals, like, because it's so close. It'd be that, but if we came together, it'd be very, very strong in most of our opinion. But yeah, I think a lot of matches will be.
What do you think about that though? Adam, about the whole, regional thing. Because remember, back in our day, that was such a huge thing, right? East versus West, North versus South, whatever. Like,
North versus South, yeah.
And now, and this isn't just in FGC, but it's like in sports in general. Like, people don't really seem to. I don't know. It doesn't seem like there's as much, desire or, clamoring for coastal rivalries. What do you think about that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, honestly, most of us are adults.
Keep it real, dog. Keep it real.
Busy schedules. A lot of us can't really get up for that. But because of the Jazzy finale being at that location, it makes sense for some shit to pop off there. Like, okay, so we're all here. Let's mix it up. Let's do, what we can do here with different matchups. That's how I almost thought it was going to be at the Jazzy finale. Like, everyone's there. A lot of best players are there. I might as well try some cool stuff, but it wasn't. I mean, it was different. It was just a different experience. It wasn't like that. But yeah, I would. That's what I was hoping to do at this Jazzy finale. But obviously.
Well, shout outs to Free Play Arcade. Definitely check them out and help them get through this. Free Play, like so many other gaming venues, are having a tough time because of this pandemic, and so definitely support your local venues. And so dude, like it's just there's so much intrigue in this coastal thing, but do you see anything like wrong with like the sort of coastal sort of like rivalry thing?
No.
Like I mean like
no. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. It's just, I mean, it doesn't have to be a negative thing. Like remember, this is a game, and we're at a point now where we should be having fun with it now because it is a 20-year-old game.
Yeah,
and not a lot of there's a relatively small amount of people that play it. It's just so many good players, It shouldn't be I don't think it should be an issue.
Yeah,
I think it'd be fun. You never know. I mean, I believe certain teams match up certain way. You never know. I don't think you could call the results. And one and done. It's it could be fun. It could be fun.
All right, man. So we're getting close to the end here, but before we go, I want to play a little bit of a lightning round. I'm gonna ask you 5 questions and just answer as freely as possible. So you ready?
Cool.
Ready? Okay. So
let's do it.
Number 1, if the world were to end tomorrow, sorry for the negativity. And the only thing you could do, on the last day on the planet is play Dirt Strike with one other person. Who would that person be?
Damn,
okay, so let me describe the scenario. So the world's gonna end, and then on the last day, it's just okay. We'll make it a not so violent ending. You will all just wither away, a la the Infinity Gauntlet or whatever that movie. Thanos, right? So the world's gonna end. You got and on the last day before the world ends, the only thing you could do during that day is play Dirt Strike with one other person. They're gonna have a head-to-head cabs. You'll just be right there, dude. Who would that person be?
Well, I would say Kuroda, but he probably sandbag. Apparently, he's a crazy sandbagger.
Do you really want to spend the last day on Earth with Kuroda? That's another thing too. I mean, that's another thing too. Dirtmaster. You gotta think about that as well.
It's in the context of Dirt Strike. Probably one last player to have a session with. Probably my boy Cameron from Nebraska, just because of how long I've known him.
Wow!
And to have one more like fun.
Man,
fun
I'm gonna cry again, dude. Stop it! Stop it! You ain't gonna make me cry twice in the podcast. Damn.
No, yeah. Like I knee-jerk reaction is to say like KO or Boss or Ricky Maru or whatever, MOV, Nuki, whatever. But no, I'd rather go with somebody I'd have history with and always have fun playing with.
Oh, that's awesome.
So yeah, I would say. Yeah.
All right.
Shout out to Blood Urine.
Okay. So question number 2. Well, it's really 2 questions, but I think I'll count it as one. Question number 2: best and worst Dirt Strike stage.
Ooh.
So you can answer either way. You can give me the worst first or the best first. It doesn't matter.
Here's the thing. I love the art. I'm a lifelong artist as well. So I love the art in all the stages. But if I were to go best and worst, best. Probably.
The community is hinging on your answer, dude. Like,
I'd have to bring in other factors like the music along with the visual. I would say Akuma. I'll say Akuma.
It's the best.
Probably best.
Oh, okay.
If I were to pick one, yeah.
Okay.
Worst.
Rough, right?
Sean stage, the factory or whatever in the background. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
What's wrong with Brazil? What's wrong with Brazil, Dirtmaster?
It doesn't. It has no semblance of Brazil. It's just a bunch of crates. You know.
I mean,
it's just so boring to me.
Like, what did you want? You wanted dancers in the background, fucking pigs, spinning around in a skewer or whatever.
Maybe some capoeira dancers.
I don't know, dude.
I don't know. Maybe a beach. I don't know. Real beach. Rio de Janeiro.
Oh, wow.
Some jiu-jitsu going on in the background. I don't know.
Well,
but yeah, that's the worst
stage. Really? You think? Man, dude, my favorite stage is Gil stage.
That's one of my favorites too. But the music,
so
much music.
That's true. But Gil's music is godlike, dude. The stage.
It is.
It's low-key godlike. Yeah.
We're trying to make something of this best worst thing.
And that artwork up on the roof. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And worst stage. I'm one of those dudes. Worst stage is Elena. To me. That's the worst stage.
Because of beats or because of the
just the stage. The stage. No. The song is great, but I just
okay.
It sucks. It's like
that. It's like goatee. No, I'm just kidding.
And then those dirty Elena players that be picking them colors that hide them camouflage on the stage. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about. I know. That's the other table. That's the other table in Third Strike.
Fucking Elena looking like Predator, dude. That's just
right.
Oh man. Oh.
Redbone for real.
Okay. So, I already forgot. Oh, okay, let me look at this. Okay, question number 3. All right, and this is if you could come back to life as a Third Strike character.
Whoa!
Like if you were reincarnated as a Third Strike character, like a real life version of a Third Strike character, who? like what's a real life version of Gil look like? Like if you could be reincarnated as a Third Strike character, which character would that be?
I would say Chun-Li if I could bring a table with me to keep with me at all times.
You'd be Chun-Li. Oh.
No, I would say no.
Oh, okay,
that's a bad joke.
No.
I would say
let it rock. We live 2020, dude.
I would say. Oh man. For real life. Oh man. I would say shit, man. Probably Gil.
Yeah.
Probably Gil. Pyro, cryo, resurrection. What?
Wow. Yeah. That's pretty godlike.
Duality. I like duality.
Dude, I'd be Ken. Because I've always wanted to know what it's like to have money. I mean, I'm a simple person, I've always wanted to know what it's like to have this disposable income, He's like the 1% of the 1%. So
right.
I wanted to know what that felt like. So
isn't Dudley? I think Dudley's a.
Is Dudley richer? Who is the richest character? Gil, right?
Dudley
is Gil the richest character? Like, are we really right now comparing the net worth of these fictional Third Strike characters? Dirtmaster, this podcast has gone on too long. We're already doing this. If we're already doing
Dudley seems pretty wacky.
I think Dudley's up there, but Gil, it has to be Gil, right? He's like the richest. But he's like the Illuminati is like the Catholic Church, you know what I'm saying? Like it's like you can't even measure their wealth,
Right.
I mean, they've been hoarding gold since fucking
right. Oh god. Oh my god. Let's not go there.
Kappa. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, to have a helicopter bring you tea, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Definitely. But
Billy's wacky.
Yeah, that's why I'd be Ken. Okay, and then the last question. Okay,
Mhm.
and we're this will hinge, whether we speak to one another after this podcast will hinge on your answer to this question. No, I'm just kidding. Okay,
Jesus.
very very simple question. Yes or no, right? Yes or no, right? Yes or no. Is Jazzy NYC the best song on the Third Strike soundtrack?
Trick question. Trick question. We're talking just Third Strike or the 3 series?
No, just Third Strike. Just Third Strike. Not the second, not the original.
Okay, though, yeah. I would say pound for pound, yeah. It's the top.
Okay.
It's the top.
Thank you,
It's the most recognizable. When you think of Third Strike, you immediately think of that theme.
Thank you. I'm glad that we're able to continue this relationship.
But for all intents and purposes, I like the Second Impact Jazzy NYC the best.
What is it about the Second Impact version? Because I hear a lot of people say that.
House music.
It's the house, right?
It's a house tempo.
Like in the background, right? Like it's like subtle, but you can like hear it, and it like
yeah. Keep it moving and grooving.
Man, I'm gonna listen to some Second Impact music now after this podcast. So we've come to the end, Dirtmaster. Thanks again, man, for coming on the show and giving some some Third Strike players some needed respite from all this stuff that's going on in the world. And so before we get out of here, is there, the platform's yours, man. Is there anything you wanted to share with the world, before we get out of here?
Stay safe, stay, do what you can throughout this downtime. The sooner we get out of this situation, the sooner we can get back to enjoying the things we love doing. And I hope to get in games with everyone who's listening at some point, sooner than later. That's all, really. Awesome. I could plug the turntable stuff, but whatever. I already told you to Google me.
Yeah, and it's right there on the screen at I Am Toadstyle. Check out Dirtmaster's Instagram.
It's I am the Toadstyle. I am the Toadstyle.
I am the Toadstyle. Oh, and quick question. This is the last question. Like, you ever talk to Eat Dog about maybe cooking something up musically together? Like that was. Like,
oh, that's right. He is an artist too. Yeah. No, I never talked to him about that.
I mean, y'all
probably should.
Y'all do different music, but like music.
Yeah. I mean, that's
that'd be kind of.
That's no big issue. Yeah. No big issue. I know the kind of stuff he's into, the super hardcore stuff. I think I've seen he posted some footage of him performing. I think a while back, or at least a picture of it. And I immediately knew what kind of artist he is in general, not specifically, but I know the vibe. And I mean, you could always add some turntable stuff to there. I don't know. You never know. Eat's a cool dude too. He's also another one of those players that shocked me when I got back into playing in tournaments. He shocked me with his Akuma. He's a very good player.
Shout outs to Eat. And shout outs to all of the musicians in the Third Strike community. How godlike would it be, Dirtmaster, if like there was like someone could put together like a mixtape or like a compilation of music put out by Third Strike players?
No doubt.
How godlike would that be?
That'd be sick.
I mean, I know a few musicians that are in the Third Strike scene, but I don't know all of them.
Yeah.
Man, that'd be pretty sick.
That'd be cool if like we all did covers of like the tracks. That'd be dope.
Oh, the stages? Oh, the theme music? Oh, covers? Oh my god.
Do like our own interpolation.
Okay. Say no more, Dirtmaster. We're giving too much away. We're gonna have to end the stream immediately. We have some papers for you to sign. We have some the Jazzy Circuit papers to sign here.
That sounds like a dope idea.
Yeah, but I'm just kidding. But anyway, it is a sick idea, right? I think I definitely Jazzy Records.
It is.
Jazzy Records. Alpha. Jazzy Records.
Also, before we end the stream, I also want to thank you for getting me off my ass, per se. Because before you came to Chicago, I didn't really think of playing in any tournaments outside of Chicago. We had our own couple local things we did at Logan when Quentin was still here. But it wasn't until you got there and said, "Yo, what are you doing? You need to put your face out there more. People need to be, seeing you." That I decided to enter Frosty again and enter Combo Breaker and Michigan Masters and the Jazzy finale, the Jazzy stuff. So yeah, I gotta thank you, man, for lighting the fire under me.
It's all love of the game. You know what I mean?
No doubt.
It's just
no doubt.
It's as basic as I just want to see some really godlike Dirt Strike, and
Yeah.
it was to me, that's what I wanted to see, and you have not disappointed, Dirtmaster. You have definitely showed out the last couple years, and I look forward to what's to come.
No doubt. No doubt.
Hopefully, when all of this is said and done, we'll be able to resume the circuit and reschedule the finale, and we can all get back to some sense of Third Strike normalcy, I guess.
Yeah, I can't wait to see everyone and play everyone when the stuff is all over.
All right. So before we get out of here, just wanted to plug a couple things. And so you all want to check out the Jazzy Circuit. You can check out our smash.gg page, our official league page. Remember that we are running Jazzy online fundraiser tournaments for Venue Relief on Vankabot's channel. Shout out to Vankabot and Katie Alpha and DJ Isco. And so each fundraiser tournament is raising money for a different venue. And so the first one, we raised money for the Gaming Zone in Arizona. The second Jazzy online fundraiser, we raised money for Arcade Legacy. And then next Tuesday, we're going to be raising money for Akihabara Arcade. And I didn't forget you, Arshad. I saw you, Arshad, in your comment. You asked whether or not we could organize a fundraiser for Logan's. And dude, we are down, man. We are down. Just reach out to me or Katie and let's get it done. If Logan's is down, we're down. So,
no doubt.
We again, like I said, I sound like a broken record at this point, but there's no point. If we don't keep the venues alive, then we're not going to be able to.
That's it.
It's not like we can keep this, going. So definitely support your local venues. Whatever venue, and so yeah. I mean, I would. That would be great. That would be great to do a fundraiser for Logan's. Yeah. And a lot of your players play online, so it's going to be pretty dope.
This is true.
Yeah.
This is true.
Yeah.
Actually, the guy I play online with sometimes right now is a guy who moved here from New York recently. He's an Oro player, but named Josh.
Josh, yeah, Josh Easy.
Right.
Josh Easy.
I have a decent connection. It's completely imperfect but playable connection with him. So I always, every once in a while, I beg him. I say, "Hey man, you want to play some games?"
Yeah, he's solid. He's solid.
But, yeah, he knows the unblockables. It's always a threat.
Yeah, definitely.
Just die.
And so I'm glad that you asked that question, Katie, because this Sunday we are the New York Third Strike scene is teaming up with NYC Furby to raise money specifically for Next Level. And so it's going to be pretty sick. It's going to be streamed on Arturo's channel. And so it's going to be pretty sick. We're going to be running, basically on Sunday, we're going to be running 3 separate Third Strike tournaments. And so we're going to be running PS4, Fightcade, and Xbox 360. All in one day.
Oh, okay.
Streaming it all.
I'll enter the 360.
Go ahead. Sorry, man.
I'll enter the 360 one. I'm gonna play like shit, but I'll enter just to take part.
Awesome. So yeah, so yeah, that's what's going down on Sunday. It's gonna be a pretty sick time. Like I said, it's all to try to keep these local venues alive, so that when we can resume the Jazzy Circuit, we have places to play. And so
I don't want things to resort to Third Strike speakeasies.
Oh no. No. Doesn't even sound like a good thing. So if you would do a favor for me, Katie Alpha, and copy and paste the URL of the tournament link, you sign up through Challenge, and again, you can sign up for all 3 tournaments. And so definitely check that out.
Oh shit! I'll get on that.
And so, yeah. Well, we've come to the end. Adam, it's been an awesome time. Thank you so much for
Yeah,
being
man, nice
on the
catching up with
show.
you.
Yeah, definitely
No doubt.
awesome. I look forward to, hopefully being able to play some Third Strike with you, my man, because
Yeah, absolutely.
it's wow. It's
hmm
it sucks. You know what I'm saying? It sucks.
Yeah, yeah, it's a downer. It's a downer.
But we'll
It's a
get
downer.
through it. We'll get through it. All right, guys. So we're gonna go ahead and get out of here. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see
Peace
you
out,
next
guys.
time.